I met Sophie Jungers at Alma, the restaurant where she sometimes does her work as a study coordinator for the Visual Surround Suppression, or the VISUP, a study at the University of Minnesota. The study started in August of 2020.
Typically, what's in the media right now are a lot of studies or clinical trials involving psilocybin as a treatment for mental health disorders. What we're doing is not that. We only enroll healthy participants with no mental health diagnoses, and the goal is to understand the physical processes that are happening when somebody takes psychedelics.
Psilocybin is in the same drug category as heroin, according to the DEA. And this study is looking into how it affects information processing in the brain, more specifically, visuals.
Psilocybin is derived from mushrooms. There's a variety of mushrooms that contain psilocybin, and we use a synthetic dose of that. We use a 25 milligram dose. Sometimes people, depending on how people metabolize it, of course everybody's different, but people relate it to a moderate dose of psilocybin.
A Netflix documentary called How to Change Your Mind featured experiences of people who had a dose of psilocybin. When under the influence of these magic mushrooms, this is what it may feel like.
Just a little off. And it just started coming like this unstoppable force. I remember thinking, no, until it was obvious that it was just upon me.
Ugh. I'm a human being. Oh boy. Like every memory I've ever had, I get to experience again for the first time.
Jungers works with principal investigator Jessica Nielsen, who is basically in charge of everything. She also has help from a trip sitter. A trip sitter is someone who is trained to be with the participant as they are under the influence of the magic mushrooms.
We hope that they feel comfortable. That's the goal. We do a lot of preparatory sessions to make sure that they do feel comfortable. And when they are in for their dosing sessions, we have those trip sitters, and there are always two of them in the room. These are people that are trained on how to interact with people that are under the influence of psychedelics, like psilocybin. We sit there with them during their whole 8-hour day and just kind of guide them through any difficult experiences they might be having, just be there to support them.
Dola Green, who is a student at the University of Minnesota, works as a trip sitter for the VISUP study.
Being a trip sitter just makes me feel like I'm actually kind of like a part of the experience with them, because I feel like, I got to know them, and, they're trusting me to kind of like be in this space with them. When you think of somebody that's taking a psychedelic, you might think of a certain type of person, but I think being a trip sitter has made me realize just how many people are starting to look into using psilocybin, and that it could be your everyday person.
There is a training process to become a trip sitter.
And that involves, kind of more explanation of what somebody that is going through a trip may be experiencing, how they may be experiencing it, and then you kind of like how you can aid them in that process. And then part of that is like watching videos and just making sure that you're well equipped to deal with any situation.
The participants lie down when they undergo a dose of the magic mushrooms.
I really like setting up the dosing room. So it looks very clinical before we get our hands on it. And when I'm decorating it, I'm putting up tapestries. Like I said, it kind of ends up looking like a college dorm room. Tons of tapestries, salt lamps, mood lighting like those sunset lamps, and little mushroom lights. We try to make it as comfortable as possible for somebody that would be under the influence of psilocybin.
When participants end their day of fantasy, they talk to a psychiatrist on staff.
They ask them questions about what they're feeling, what day is it, where are you? And then we make sure that we release them to somebody that they trust. It's an amazing experience, especially like you said, it's pretty unique for the Midwest to take on a study involving psychedelics. So I feel extremely grateful
The study is still ongoing and generating a lot of interest according to Jungers and Green. Maya Flackby, University Report.